Am I the asshole for not telling my mill that my son is gay? My 41F son, 22M, came out to us as gay when he was a teenager. He has been with his boyfriend for 4 years and they are talking about marriage within the next 2 or 3 years. My in-laws are extremely religious and intolerant and my son has never felt comfortable coming out to them. He has no real relationship with them other than holiday, birthday pleasantries and we support his decision. We aren't particularly close to them either for reasons I will not get into here, but my husband feels like the less contact we have with them, the better. My mill has this bad habit with my son where she is constantly trying to involve herself in his dating life and has in the past tried to set him up with women she either met at church or on the street. One time she tried to set him up with waitress when we went out to dinner with them for her birthday. The other night he was over at the house and Mill called up my husband, 44M, on Skype. My son participated in the call to give his Thanksgiving pleasantries. My Mill began harping at him about when he was finally going to settle down and find a nice girl to marry so she will get to be a great grandma. She told him that one of her friends from church has a daughter that he would like and asked if she could give her his number. My son told her he wasn't interested and asked her to stop. She kept persisting and my son finally told her that he was gay and had a serious boyfriend he was living with and planned to marry. Mill flipped her shit. She ended the Skype and immediately called my husband and started screaming at him. She told my husband that our son was a disgrace to our family, and started chastising him for not telling her about our son's sinful life. My subband told her that it is not our place to tell people that our son is gay, and if she cannot support him, then she is a worse grandmother than she was a mother and should be ashamed of herself. My Phil and Sil are now demanding that we apologize to Mill for upsetting her and ruining their Thanksgiving. My husband and I are standing firm that we have nothing to apologize for, and if anything feel that they should apologize to our son for the awful things they said about him and his boyfriend. I was talking about what happened with my sister, and she told me that this would have never happened if we had told my Mill years ago that our son was gay. Am I the asshole for not telling her? Not the asshole. It was your son's decision when to tell him, not your job to out him.
Not the asshole. Her reaction is not your concern. Telling her sooner would not have changed the reaction she presented, speaking from experience.
Not the asshole. Your son is the only one who gets to decide if, when someone learns about his sexuality. Your Mill and Phil are assholes for demanding an apology for ruining their Thanksgiving when they did it all by themselves.
Not the asshole. She told me that this would have never happened if we had told my Mill years ago that our son was gay. She is wrong. This is exactly what would have happened regardless of how or when she was told. Bigots are going to bigot.
Not the asshole. Good on you and your husband for standing firm and supporting your son. Whether he is straight, gay or something else is none of her business. No one should be forced to come out to someone they don't wish to. Thank you for not doing it on his behalf and telling Mill previously. Not the asshole. She kept persisting and she found out the truth. If she didn't like what she heard, it's her problem.
NTA homophobes don't deserve Thanksgiving.
Not the asshole. Your son can come out to whoever he wants to, it's nobody's business if he doesn't tell them.
Not the asshole, but you are rock star parents for accepting your son and standing up for him. I love this kind of support from parents. Cut out the in-laws. They have no place in your life if they can't wholeheartedly love your child. Not the asshole. You respected your son's wishes regarding who he tells and respected his personal decision to have a minimal relationship your in-laws. She ruined her own Thanksgiving by not respecting your son's boundaries and constantly pushing what she wanted on him. I agree with you and your husband that she owes your son an apology. Your sister, however, needs to be reminded that it is your son's choice who he tells and when he tells them, especially when there is a likely unpleasant reaction coming where he will be the recipient of some hurtful words.
Are we serious? How could you possibly be the asshole in this situation? Why am I even reading this post? This sub seems to be getting filled with people wanting to feel vindicated instead of interesting stories with a moral gray area. I'm officially done with it. Disappointing.
Not the asshole. You're not the intolerant one.
Not the asshole. It's your son's decision and he's not the asshole either because he knew how she would react and she proved him right.
Not the asshole. Aside from respecting your son's privacy, which is reasonable enough not to share, her reaction confirms that your decision not to tell her was correct.
Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. No one has to come out to nobody if they do not want to. Your Mill is something I do not want to name and I love your husband's shiny spine plus your attitude. Your Phil and Sil are enablers and your sister should keep her business to herself. Please do not out anyone without their consent.
Not the asshole and hold your ground, your son is very lucky to have such supportive parents.
Not the asshole. He told her when he was ready, kinda, it was his info to share with whom he wanted. Kudos to your son for feeling brave enough to tell her, even if it was to prevent her intrusion. She should definitely apologize. Ruined her Thanksgiving. Bah. She needs to get over herself.
Not the asshole. Your sister is shockingly unconcerned about how it would have impacted your son to have been outed against his will, to hostile bigoted family, when he was so young and vulnerable. You made a good parenting decision by letting him control when and how he told his grandmother, just as he asked you to. Out of curiosity, does your sister have kids? Does she struggle to see them as autonomous or respecting them?
Not the asshole. You have nothing to apologize for. As you stated, it wasn't for you to tell your in-laws he was gay. The decision was his alone.
Your husband is a diamond. A 25-quart diamond set in a platinum setting. OMG, what an awesome human. Not the asshole. Go hug your son, he's a saint for putting up with those awes for so long. You are awesome, too.
Not the asshole. This reaction proves you were right to not tell her. It also cements your family's decision to be distanced.
Not the asshole at all. This was your son's story to tell, not yours. He gets to decide who to come out to and when to do that. It would have been a massive violation of trust for him if you had told Mill years ago without his okay. I'm sure he's known full well how Mill would react. He needed to handle this himself with a supportive partner and supportive parents by his side. Oh wait, he has that. Not the asshole. Mill owe you, your husband, and your son an apology.
You're good people for not outing your son to homophobic family members. I know there are too many people who would. Oh, and not the asshole, lol. She's the one who threw a shit fit about nothing, and she set herself up for it by involving herself in his romantic life. God, I would love a post on here where there is a chance the op is actually the asshole. Like, no bud, obviously your in-laws are the assholes. You describe them in the beginning and they sound like assholes and then they act like assholes, lol. Not the asshole. It isn't your job to out your son to people with whom he does not care to discuss his sexuality. The one thing I would say you might have done differently, is for all of you to refuse discuss his dating life with her at all. She asks, you tell her you will not discuss it with her. Hang up or walk away. She gives his phone number to some church mouse. Your son blocks the church mouse immediately. She starts trying to set up the waitress with him. You get up and leave the restaurant, immediately. She brings it up at her house, you leave. She brings it up at your house, she leaves. Every single time. That is still the way to handle it. No, you do not owe them an apology. She owes all of you an apology. Congratulations to your son on his upcoming wedding.
My kid is gay. The only people who have been told are people that they choose to inform, because, to put it simply, it's not my story to tell. They are a person, not a press release, and their sexuality is not filler for the annual family Christmas letter. You are not the asshole, and I hope that your son and his love have a long, happy life together. Heart.
Cut out every one of these assholes, not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Bigot's gonna bigot. Never apologize for who you are. Ask them to apologize for their deeply religious conservative bigot beliefs. Oh, you won't apologize? Then why not try fucking off?
Not the asshole. Please don't apologize. You did nothing wrong. It wasn't your place to tell. Thank you for loving your son.
Am I the angel for loving, supporting, and respecting my son? If assholes get up votes, you can have my downvote. Not the asshole. Your husband was 100% correct when he said it's not your place to tell people your son is gay. It's never okay to out people. If your son wanted your bigot Mill to know he was gay, he would have told her sooner. How is this even a question? Am I the asshole for not being homophobic? Is what you were asking.
Being gay is to be celebrated. Being straight is to be celebrated. Being both is to be celebrated. Being neither is to be celebrated. And #X200B. If Mill, and a grandmother cannot celebrate a family member, then she does not deserve to be called family. Edit not the asshole.
Not the asshole. My own parents are incredibly religious and intolerant, so I'm not telling them until I'm living in a different town or the farthest I can get. Thanks for being accepting parents and don't let your MIL's bullshit get to you. She told me that this would have never happened if we had told my Mill years ago. Yes, it would have. It just would have happened years ago. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Y'all are perfect parents. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'm sorry your bigotry is running the holidays and the mental image of the ideal family that's as sick in your head. Not the asshole. Kudos to you and your husband for sticking up for your son.
Not the asshole, obviously. I would take a hard long look at my sister, if I were you, though. It's obvious that she would rather be a doormat than actually have some concerns over your son's well-being. She thinks Mill wouldn't have blown her stack if she learned about this 5 years ago, when your son was in a much more vulnerable phase. She's a nimwit, is what she is.
Not the asshole. Sounds like what your husband said was true.
Not the asshole, it's his to tell and you never out someone without their clear and deliberate permission. Your sister is very much wrong. You did the right thing and telling her sooner would only have changed the time of the outburst, not its occurrence. You did the right thing. She told my husband that our son was a disgrace to our family, and started chastising him for not telling her about our son's sinful life. Well gosh, can't imagine why he didn't want to come out to them. Not the asshole, and they can kick rocks. Even if they weren't terrible bigots and not great parents, from what you're telling us it wasn't your news to share, and would have been a major breach of trust for you to tell them against his wishes. ETA, your sister is wrong. She can't seriously believe someone who'd spew the above nonsense would have been okay with a gay grandson if she's just been told sooner. That's just a bananas. Good for you for sticking up for your son.
Not the asshole. Oh how I wish all parents were as supportive and loving as you guys are. Heart.
He's 22. My God, the pressure to, finally, settle down unamused at that age is just so premature and so bizarre. Not the asshole, but you will be if you allow Mill the space to talk like that about your son again. Not the asshole. If it were my son, I would grant him a lifetime NC, no contact card with his granny. She is toxic. Most importantly, you support your son in determining when and where he divulges his personal business.
Not the asshole. You need to cut them out of your life.
Not the asshole. As someone in the LGBT+ community myself, it's not your place or anyone else's to out him. It could also hurt him very badly if you apologize on his behalf or force him to apologize. Don't make him feel like he's ruined anyone's holiday by being himself. I had family members do it to me. I no longer talk to anyone involved and there's a tangible rift in the family. Furthermore, his dating life and who he spends time with behind closed doors is none of her business. She should have backed off when she made him uncomfortable and she was asked to stop.
Not the asshole. One of the number one rules of having someone come out to you is that they trust you enough to tell them. If they don't want to tell someone else, then you don't get to tell that person for them. Do not apologize as you've done nothing wrong. If you told her, then she would still probably be angry at you for raising your son to be sinful, and probably use those overbearing grandmother skills of hers to suggest conversion therapy camps, setting up appointments with priests, and badmouthing your son at every chance she would get. She should be ashamed of herself tbh.
To your Phil and Sil, we will not apologize for protecting and defending our son against Mil's bigotry. If she plans to be hateful and speak ill of our son, we will not have a relationship with her or anyone who supports her behavior. NTA. You did the right thing by respecting your son's wishes and not outing him. They do owe you an apology. Your sister's logic is extremely flawed. You would not have avoided this by telling them sooner. You would have had this exact scenario at a different time, and on top of that your son would have been younger and less equipped to handle the abuse that followed.